guest on the line with us right now. He won 2 Super Bowls as the head coach of the Oakland Raiders. He is now part of the Raiders broadcast team, has been for a long, long time. The man bleeds black and silver. He is Tom Flores. Tom, thanks for joining us.
Hey, nice to be talking to you guys.
Hey, Tom, I think one of the winners in free agency over the last few days has been the Oakland Raiders. It's a team that desperately needed more talent, and it got a lot of nice talent. They got Lofton at linebacker. They got Hudson at center. Who am I missing? There's one other big name they just brought on. Tom, help me out here.
Well, they got Dan Williams,
on the defensive line. Yeah. Some very nice moves. Are you happy with those moves? Are the Raiders feeling very good about these things?
Well, I would imagine they are. I'm not privy to everything that goes on behind the doors there anymore because I choose not to be. I don't want to get that involved. I'm about as close to the field as I want to be right now in the radio booth, but it's a bit painful, as you say. But I tell you, I'm kind of excited because they've had a couple of good drafts, and they seem to be headed in the right direction. They finally have a quarterback, I think, and Lofton gives them that middle line. I think they're going to play him as middle linebacker. No, I'm sorry, Malcolm Smith. Excuse me, Smith will play.
Yeah, former Super Bowl MVP they got.
And he's a player, boy. He makes a lot of tackles. That's what a middle linebacker has to do. And Hudson will give them a solid player at the center, and Williams, they need the defensive lineman to plug the middle. So, they're headed in the right direction, and they have to have another good draft, obviously.
Tom Flores, as you mentioned, was a great coach with the Oakland Raiders, and they've had a succession for years. They had great coaches, and then they went through so many coaches. Your relationship in the past, Tom, with Jack Del Rio, and what do you think of the hiring and how he's handled himself? Because he's a Bay Area guy coming home.
Well, I don't know Jack real well, but I remember when I was coaching in Oakland, and I was an assistant coach, but he was at Hayward High School, setting all kinds of records there. He was just a great athlete there in 3 sports. I remember when John Robinson with the USC was up to recruit him, and John and I were very close and told me all about him. So I watched him and watched him through college and in the pros, and he's been successful in all of those areas. Jacksonville, was a different story there because it's so hard to win in this business. You got to know what you're doing from ownership all the way down to your ball boy. Make sure he puts enough air in the ball, or take some out when you need it. I don't know, but it's. He's a hard-nosed guy. He's a hard-nosed player. I'm sure he'll be a very hard-nosed coach. And I never worked with him, so it's hard for me to analyze him on the field.
Tom, Miss Woody, and you were talking about you were making a not so veiled reference to Deflategate. You remember back in the day, and I was covering all the games back in the day when people would accuse Al Davis and the Oakland Raiders of watering the field before the game. There was even an opposing coach who looked up at the ceiling in his pregame talk and said, "Hello, Al, how you doing?" Because he thought there were microphones. What would you say now that there's term limits on that? Can you say now that when you were coaching, was that effective because you had other teams thinking that you were doing stuff, or were you actually doing any of that stuff that people accused you of?
No, we never did that because we were slipping too, for crying out loud. That field was below sea level, and the Oakland Coliseum historically never spent a lot of money on that stadium to improve things. They didn't go down deep enough, but it was to our advantage because we knew how to play on it. But Al got blamed for a lot of things, and he kind of enjoyed being blamed for a lot of things because it made people get upset and worry about everything. It made them paranoid when they came in to play in the Coliseum. It was kind of fun. Those were fun days, Woody.
Yeah, I remember, Tom, and I know you do too. There were accusations talking about Deflategate. There were accusations that helium was put in the ball. You remember that, don't you, Tom?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That because Ray Guy was such. He was a Hall of Fame punter, and he led the league every year. And people said they put helium in the ball with the Raiders.
Well, he was such an awesome punter before there were, now there are a lot of good punters in the league, but boy, he was the first one out of the box for me. He put on a show. We used to, you had to get the hook and get him off to practice, before games, because he got in a groove and he just loved putting the ball up there forever. He put on a show. He used to like it, but he was a special weapon. That's why we took him in the first round.
Sure, Tom, and you know this. Ray Guy just recently went into the was inducted into the Hall of Fame. But people tend to forget when the Raiders drafted Ray Guy in the first round. They went, boy, they drafted a punter. He was in college. He was a great defensive back, and he was a quarterback. And if I remember correctly, you had him as a third-string quarterback at one point. He would have been the guy to go in.
He was a great athlete. I mean, he was a tremendous athlete. He could throw the ball farther than any of our quarterbacks. He could run. He could jump. He had speed. He was a great pitcher in baseball. And I remember the first rookie camp we had. He came out there and he had played defensive back also in college, and so they gave him a defensive back number and a black shirt. He went over there, lined up with the defensive backs, and he goes out on a one-on-one drills. And if you wanted to see some excitement with our owner, and Al Davis, and our head coach John Madden at the time, it didn't take long for them to get him off of there. So we gave him a red shirt. Said, "You stand over there. You're going to punt."
Hey, Tom, the Broncos are clearly a talented team. The Chargers got better in this offseason. Realistically, in your opinion, can the Raiders make the playoffs this coming season?
I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be good enough this year. I think they're headed in the right direction, but I don't know. Our division got real tough all of a sudden, and the only team that has failed in getting better is the Raiders, and we need to get back because it just doesn't seem right for the Raiders not to be in the playoffs. Every time we came to Denver, it was a meaningful game for both teams. Same thing Kansas City, same thing San Diego, and now unfortunately it hasn't been much of a meaningful game for anybody but the other teams are going to put a victory up. So we need to get better. The league needs us to get better, I think. But the AFC West is pretty tough again.
Tom, you so knowledgeable about quarterbacks. Give me your appraisal of Carr going through his first season. It seemed to me last year the coaching staff kind of kept him under control and trying to make sure he didn't make mistakes. Do you think, because of the new regime there in coaching, and because he's now had a year of experience, that we'll see more of the real Derek Carr, who was a prolific passer in college and an outstanding college quarterback?
Yeah, well, I think you're gonna see the maturity grow. I mean, he's the real deal, I think. I mean, he's got great talent, he's got great touch, strong enough arm, he can run. He's a workaholic because he really works hard at trying to get better and being that team leader. And I think you have to earn that right. But he's working hard at doing that. And if anything, last year at times I thought he tried to do too much. I think he tried to be Peyton Manning and run around and change all the things at the last scrimmage, and then he'd run out of time because he didn't know how to do it quite well. He's not there yet, but in college he did operate on the shotgun the whole time. So he had to learn to go and take a snap, and he's done that. And so I think they're in good shape there. I think he's going to be pretty good.
Hey, Tom, what about a running back? Darren McFadden leaves the Raiders after quite a few years there and goes to Dallas. I'm looking at the depth chart. Who the hell are you going to have at running back?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. The Rashad Jennings, he had some. Well, he didn't have much last year. No, he really didn't. But I don't know. I don't know who they're running back. They just picked up the one guy, Helu, I guess, a running back.
Right, Helu.
They might go after one in the draft. They've got a pretty good draft coming up. I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Hey, last thing, Tom. Are the Raiders going to be in Oakland for very long with all these rumors swirling about a move to L.A.? What do you know about that?
Well, there's always rumors. You know, they sign a year-to-year lease, and right now the rumor is that the Chargers and the Raiders are going to build a stadium and share it in Carson. I don't know about that. I mean, I can't see the Chargers and Raiders sharing anything, really, to be honest with you. But they do need a new stadium. The worst three stadiums in all of pro football were in California. Now there's only two. All you have to do is go around and see all the different stadiums around the league and see how bad ours is and how bad San Diego's is. And we need a stadium. But having said that, where are they going to get the money to do it? That's the real issue. But I know that the Davis family, Mark Davis and his mom, Carol, they do not want to move the team. They love Oakland. That's where it belongs. And that's where I think they should be. Even though one of my Super Bowls was in L.A., and we had fun for a while in Tinseltown, but that's where it started. But it would be an easier commute for me because I live in Palm Springs, so I could just drive.
And Tom, it is all about you. So I hope they move to L.A.
I'm a selfish guy.
Tom, really appreciate you joining us.
I always love to talk to you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Enjoy your off season. Play some golf.
And we'll see you when the Raiders come to town. Thanks.
All right. Talk to you guys. Bye.
All right, Tom Flores,
Always.
two-time Super Bowl winning head coach of the Oakland Raiders.